Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and my audio might not be that good today because I don't have my good microphone plugged in. Let me know if you can hear me properly. If not, I will have to fix that immediately. Uh, just press start streaming, and I realized I didn't have my microphone plugged in, so that's too bad. You know what? 1 second, I will see if I can make this happen. Just a second. I'll be right back. Voila. Let's see how this works. Pulling out all the cords and all that fun. Yeah, I kind of decided at the last moment that I wanted to do a live stream. Okay. I gotta somehow. Can you hear me well? Anything good in the news that you are looking at? Make sure to send my way. I am going to look at some of the top headlines in the news right now, and I'll get right to it. Then I'll take a few of your questions. I only have about a half an hour today because I gotta go and make a fancy dinner. So let's see what we got here. There's a continuation of this push to kind of scare people away from cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin mining fees are soaring in China as there's a crackdown in progress. Keep in mind that China has banned Facebook, China has banned YouTube, etc. And obviously, it didn't really change the fact of the matter too much because it's been many years since, and it's still doing great. Good ideas, will always prevail when their time has come. And just looking at some of the issues that we've seen lately, I did a piece earlier today on STEEMIT.com about the altcoin speculation. So I'm going to go into that quickly. So, as I said in the piece, I feel the need to make the following statement considering the environment we're entering into. There will be a major altcoin crash at some point in the next year or so. It'll affect the fundamentally flawed coins, the altcoins. Not not all of them. There's going to be a lot of really good prevalent ones. I've seen a lot of great ones prevail in recent times, but let's see. As I go on in the piece, there are a lot of cryptos based on companies with no product, cryptos with no application use. There are cryptos like Denticoin, which is based on dental hygiene and the dentist industry with more than $1 billion market cap. That's ridiculous. My point is there's a coming consolidation. Many cryptocurrencies will continue to prosper for many years down the line, but many of the terrible cryptocurrencies will crash and burn. Understand what you're getting into. Don't judge a book by its cover. A cool logo is not a reason to get in. And I see so many people go, oh, that looks like a shiny, cool logo, lots of colors there. Let's get on in. And it's just not smart. It's not a smart investment move. Carrying on, it says, while I'm a big proponent of cryptocurrencies, and I do find uneducated speculation to be concerning for those who've done no research but are maxing out your credit cards to get into something you know nothing about. The fundamentals are entirely different from the derivatives market, but it does remind me of the shoe shine boy in October 1929 giving the wealthy investor stock tips. The fiat system will come down. The stock market will eventually come down. The bond market is crumbling as we speak. Cryptocurrencies, gold, and silver will carry on and be innovated on, but that's not to say they all will. Many cryptos will likely not make it through this year. I don't want people to get too excited and start throwing their money away. I've seen a lot of reasonable speculation recently, but I've also seen a lot of people promote cryptos they don't even understand. This has prompted me to make this statement, and with that said, governments, banks, and media are attempting to follow one bearish crypto story with another in an attempt to manipulate the value of the market down. I have to mention like the faulty and fake story regarding the so-called South Korean ban. So basically, the justice minister says we are considering banning it, but there's nothing in place to do so. There's a crackdown for money laundering, etc., with a few of the exchanges as well as big banks as well at the same time. but everyone freaked out and they sold off. It was a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, FUD, and people. It caused a big dip a few days ago. Now, it's a totally fabricated story for the most part. I think it was an attempt for the South Koreans to drive down the market and then buy it up at the bottom. And there's a lot of stuff going around, possibility of market manipulation. But as Joseph Young for I forget which magazine he writes for, he wrote, South Korean government shocked at the number of citizens requesting the removal of Justice Minister and Finance Minister for market manipulation. 100,000 signatures filed to reject cryptocurrency trading ban proposal. 30,000 signatures filed for removal of the two ministers. And then with all this stuff about China, look, it's just a desperate attempt to bring the market down. And it's unfortunate reality of what we have had to deal with for too long. Okay, so a whole bunch of you guys are saying the market the volume is way down. Like I asked in the beginning if it was good, a lot of people said good, so I will check the volume here. The volume is up all the way on the recorder, and there is no proper way to pause my live stream. So I'm not sure what to do. Let me see here. Got to go into my volume mixer. I'm literally talking super loud, so I don't know how much louder I could possibly talk. Can you hear me better now? When I talk closer to this thing, does it sound better? Yes? No? Yes? Okay. It seems like it's working a bit better now. I'm turning my gain up a bit. And okay. Anyway. So, moving on. Let's see what else we have. We have 87 people tuning in. I appreciate all the people tuning in. And let's see. Do you guys have any questions? Make sure to throw it in there. Stop speaking into your fleshlight. Funny. Let's see what we got. I'm looking on zerohedge.com right now. It's one of my go-to places. Though lately they've been a little bit misled on cryptocurrencies, kind of equating two different markets entirely and taking the word of people like Buffett and Warren Buffett and Jamie Dimon and stuff. And I've seen a lot of good friends of mine kind of fall into that trap as well. But like, for example, J. Edward Griffin is a genius. He's done incredible work over the years. He has been a little bit off lately on the cryptocurrency market, kind of equating the centrally planned cashless society to decentralized free market cryptographic currencies that are, competing currencies not under legal tender laws, and, the fact that they can be innovated on and you can create your own. There's a lot of confusion about that. There's more stories about Antifa group proposes law enforcement incineration day. So two forms of statism against each other. That's great. There's no winning there. That's more divide and conquer BS. There is the porn star Jessica Drake signed non-disclosure agreement barring her from discussing Trump. And there's more on that from that. I forget her name. I don't really memorize porn star names. But anyway, she denied that there was anything that happened, but the media ran with it without actually looking into the claim. A lot of that happening. No surprises there. It's a mainstream media. I do want to announce, though, for those that don't know yet, I am now hosting a daily or a weekly show every Saturday on We Are Change on YouTube, where we talk about the weekly events in cryptocurrencies. Okay, are there still trolls going on about the microphone? I don't know. Some people are saying it's good. Some people are saying it's bad. Everyone's saying can't hear you. Then everyone else is saying it's good. The volume's good. Like, what is going on? Audio is fine. Low audio. Audio messed up. Audio is okay. It's fine. Like, it's okay. Like, what is going on? It's so confusing right now. I literally have my microphone right here, guys. I'm talking right into it and the gain is halfway up. I'm not sure what the problem could possibly be. So anyway. carrying on, my volume is by the way, my recording volume is up all the way on the recorder, and the gain is halfway up on my microphone. I don't know what is going on here, but I'm going to carry on with the news because a lot of you can hear me. So let's see. So I'm going to be hosting a show every Saturday on We Are Change with Luke Rudowski. You guys got to tune into that. We got our first show up. I will put the link in the chat there. Let me just look up We Are Change. Get that going, and I will post the link in the chat. Let's see here. All right. Thank you very much, Michael Holiday. Again, always helping us out here at WAM. It's really hard to keep going when we are so insanely demonetized all the time because, apparently talking about cryptocurrencies, pensions, the markets, the economy, politics, culture, etc. is hate speech, however you define that. But Michael Holiday sent $50 and he said, I discovered crypto because of independent media and 20x my 401k this year. Thanks, buddy. Absolutely, it's incredible the opportunities it's spreading. Of course, this is not financial advice, it's just my opinion. But a lot of people are making huge amounts of money and in independent media as well with things like STEEMIT.com. And it's quite incredible. We are watching a revolution take place. And it's really, really exciting. I think that we are seeing the beginning of the monetary revolution happen before our eyes as people flood out of the fiat system, as they flood out of the bond markets, and stocks are bubbling at like all-time highs that are kind of concerning looking at past charts and margin debt, etc., as John Snyson of WorldAlternativeMedia goes into quite often as well. We did a recent report on the stock market that people should check out if they haven't already. I'm going to learn how to clip back and forth between me and the news articles I'm looking at, but I haven't figured that out yet. Could use some help on that front. I'm not a tech guy. But of course, there is a story. Shocking footage shows crowd of hungry Venezuelans slaughtering a cow in the open. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro plans his plan to order markets to slash prices of food and attempt to combat speculation and rampant inflation of the bolivar has apparently backfired as mobs of hungry Venezuelans have started looting supermarkets and slaughtering cattle in the open to survive, Reuters reports. Last week, we reported on near riots that broke out in Caracas after the mandatory price cuts for food stoked widespread shortages as what little inventory that remained on market shelves quickly disappeared. Venezuelans are suffering from a plethora of economic and social maladies. Oh man, that's a strange word that I don't come across very often. 4 years of recession and an inflation rate approaching 4,000% by some measures. And on free market level, it's way higher than 4,000%. We've discussed this before, comparing it to Bitcoin and free market values. So they're looking at insane hyperinflation. We've already seen stories of them breaking into zoos. We have seen stories of them, Maduro had some rabbit plan. He was giving everyone rabbits to eat, and then people started putting bows on their rabbits and raising them as pets instead of eating them. It's a sad story. It's just disgusting. I'd go to Venezuela to report on it, but I'm pretty sure I'm banned just from having some of the top videos on the subject. And I'd probably be killed for going there because of reporting on it for 3.5-4 years now. And I mean, just considering the fact that while Abby Martin, people like herself, were saying that everything was fine, I was reporting on it, and there was a lot of problems there. By the way, there is a huge delay that I'm noticing on YouTube here. So if I'm way behind, that is why I'm not responding to you yet. But anyway, so there was, Abby Martin was pushing forward this idea that Venezuela was just a utopia alongside Hollywood people like Sean Penn and Oliver Stone, who I at times respect, but the whole communist, Marxist, Leninist crap is just it's horrible. How many times do we have to see hundreds of millions of people killed? But anyway, So Venezuela is seeing a plethora of problems, and we've been reporting on it for a long time, and now it's come back to the forefront of the news because it just continues to disintegrate. I don't understand how it could get any worse, but this is the inevitable fate of all fiat currencies. All fiat currencies eventually revert to their intrinsic value of zero. They always have, they always will, going back to 1024 AD in China. How many times do we have to see this to learn from it? Hundreds and hundreds of times. Again, people that are saying that you can't hear me, I have my volume all the way up and my gain is all the way up. I have no idea what I can do for you. It is as high as it possibly can be, and I'm literally speaking right into the microphone really loud. I'm not sure what the problem is. I've tried to fix it, and nothing seems to be fixing it. Let me just see one more thing here to see if I can change any of this. But there's literally nothing I can do once I'm already streaming, or else it'll shut down my stream. Let's see here, audio, Yeti, apply, Okay, so tell me if it's all good now, if there's any difference. Is it louder? Is it quieter? Can you even hear me? Always technical problems. You know, I'm having to get a whole new computer because Windows decided to update on me even though I turned off updates without my permission and just totally screwed me. I have to get a new computer. Way too loud now. Okay, let me put the mic away a bit. Okay, so is it better now? Let me know. Okay, so yeah, I have to get a new computer now because a year ago, almost to the day, I had an issue where Windows updated without my permission. It screwed me over. I had to get a new computer because all my apps, all the codecs screwed up. I don't do source code, so I wasn't going to fix everything one by one. So I had to get a new computer. And less than a year later, I got that in May. Less than a year later, almost at the same time, right before I go to Acapulco, I have to go and get a new computer, which is great because I'm now making about less than $1,000 a month on YouTube due to massive demonetization for quote-unquote hate speech, as I've gone into. Anyway, that's my news, but let's look into some other stories here. Let me see. There's an article out of Zero Hedge as well, and I quote, "We know who they are," Putin claims. State provocateur behind terrorist drones in Syria. Russian President Vladimir Putin slammed those behind the massive drone attack on Russia's 2 Syrian bases, which took place on January 6, saying in front of a large Russian media conference Thursday, "There were some provocateurs, but they were not Turks. We know who they are, who paid who for this provocation, and what the actual sum was." Meanwhile, the Turkish newspaper Daily Sabah reports that Putin has privately informed Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of which provocateur was behind a drone attack. Earlier this week, we reported that the Russian military in Syria thwarted the highly coordinated attack on Khmeimim airbase. That's a Khmeimim. No idea how to pronounce that. Airbase and the Russian naval faculty in the city of Tartus, intercepting 13 heavily armed UAVs launched by terrorists. And underreported in international media was also a prior New Year's Eve attack carried out by a small squad of insurgents armed with mortars who were able to kill 2 Russian servicemen while damaging up to 7 aircraft as Khmeimim Airbase. Oh, great, an ad came up on my screen. Airbase, which constituted the single largest loss of Russian military hardware throughout the Syrian campaign. There's so much going on, and there's so much state-sponsored terrorism going on by the U.S. and other, United Nations, NATO allies, and it's in order to create the problem, reaction, solution results necessary to create another massive war and scare people into, submitting to another war because the greatest way to force people in subservience is through fear and debt, and they are accomplishing that on all levels. And of course, the monetary system needs a war. There is great efforts being pushed across the board in order to destroy all, all monetary independence and destroy all, possibility of peace. So they want to push us into another war, and that is exactly what's happening. Please subscribe below if you haven't already. If you're tuning in and you aren't subscribed, want to push that forward. I will take questions. I'm going to look quickly on STEEMIT.com to see if we have any questions yet. Of course, I always post on STEEMIT.com. Okay, so there was an audio problem for sure. A few people said that there were trolls and it was fine. Apparently there was, but apparently it's good now. So Zoltan Baze says, is it true Brian Forrester will be speaking at Anarchapulco? Do you know what he will be speaking about? I can't say exactly what he will be speaking about. I'm quite familiar with him because my graphics guy back in the day has the same name as him and just happened to be doing all of his book covers. He animated all of his book covers. Very small world. But anyway, I first heard about him in about 2012, 2013. And I looked into him, and sure enough, it's incredible how small of a world we live in. Because now I'm going to be meeting him in Acapulco. I'm putting an interview together. Just one moment. My TV turned on. My girlfriend was supposed to turn the audio off. One moment. Okay, back. Sorry about that. So let's see what people have here. Tender for law. I don't quite understand that question. Josh, what's the breaking news? How does it relate to book covers? I don't know what you mean. Let me see. Is there something like in my thumbnail that's strange? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you mean by that. Let's see. What's Dean Clifford doing these days? I don't know. That's a thing. I need to catch up on what Dean Clifford is doing because I plan on interviewing him. Robert Lonergan says it's so loud you can turn down the volume. Sorry. But yeah, Dean Clifford has been a very vocal person. I used to go to meetings with him back in the day, back in like 2012, 2013. Met him many times because he hails from Manitoba, Canada, and I had a lot of interesting conversations with him. I haven't seen him in years. My interviews with him always exploded and went viral. I don't know why, but a lot of people are interested in it. The problem is with the free men, I agree with basically all of their concepts, but it's just so difficult driving around all day without a license plate and getting pulled over 24/7. I mean, everywhere you go, it's a pain in the ass. You got to go and do things in your life, and you're constantly getting pulled over. But the idea is right. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with it. I plan on interviewing him about the issue because in every group, there's always those people that cling on, that kind of drag you down and do stupid things and aren't responsible. And there are a lot of people that were clinging on to Dean Clifford that were just that way and kind of screwing him over, screwing over his ideas. But I'm a voluntarist, so I believe in voluntary free society, voluntary interactions between free individuals, and Dean Clifford believes the same, and I want to talk with him and catch up. But I also have some real catching up to do before I write that interview, because I do not go into interviews just for the sake of doing interviews. I want to know what's going on, and I want to have decent questions so I could bring the viewer something, so it's not just, hey, there's me and this person. I want it to be a bit better than that. I haven't interviewed Dean Clifford, though, since April 2013, I believe. So it's been quite a while. But I've spoken with him since, and, he's a good person. Let's see. British Federation of Truth says, hey Josh, thanks for the tip on EOS and interview with Dan Larimer. That made me jump in. Transaction is building. Absolutely. EOS is booming. We've seen a bit of a drop. just recently, but it's only because, you know, it just heated up so fast. So many people wanted to get in. It's still an ICO, so make sure to register your EOS through my Ether wallet. There's instructions on eos.io, etc. on how to do that. Bloodbot says, Jeff says no Acapulco. No, he was joking. He did a Facebook Live video because there was a travel warning issued that says don't go to Acapulco because it's dangerous, which is hilarious because, you know, you look at most big cities in North America and those are dangerous. You know, Chicago, Detroit, Winnipeg, Canada, you know, Toronto, Ontario, New York, etc. And people have the balls to say that Mexico is scary because, oh, it's a different language and, you know, it's all cartels. No, cartels are killing other cartel members. They're not killing tourists. But I'm very excited about Acapulco and Acapulco. It is still happening. He was joking. He was going around to Tim Hortons showing video of Luke Rudowski getting his face licked by a dog saying, look how dangerous it is. And obviously it wasn't dangerous. But anyway, let me just see here. How behind am I? I'm looking at my live stream here and I'm like, in the video, I'm just getting up now to go and turn down the TV. Very unorganized today. I have no idea what's going on. There must be like a 5-minute delay or something, though. When I give my thumbs up, say yes in the thing so I could see how much of a delay there is, because I don't know what's going on today. I've been getting screwed with from all ends. It's been brutal. But people are writing in the thing that they're on time, so okay, I have no idea what's going on then. Everything's all screwed up today. Okay, thanks. Okay, I got it. We aren't too far behind. Thing on the preview is just way off. Anyway, so going back into EOS, though, I believe that is going to be one of the top cryptocurrencies in the future. This is not financial advice, it's just my opinion, but I think that there is a lot of potential for EOS. EOS has been really breaking ground, like one of the best performing ICOs I've ever seen in my life. That along with Steem. Steem obviously isn't in an ICO phase, but Steem is an incredible cryptocurrency, has so much application use. And of course, EOS is an anonymous but transparent currency. So Dan Larimer has an interesting idea on transparency. I'm going to go to his article actually right now on STEEMIT on this issue that he went into last December, because I really do believe it's really interesting. And here it is. Does freedom require radical transparency or radical privacy? He wrote it about 28 days ago. Around the time that I interviewed him, actually. So he says, as a society, we seem to have double standards when it comes to privacy. We would like to know everything about everyone else while simultaneously ensuring nobody knows anything about us. We want the right to demand others forget us, but we want to remember everything we can about everyone else. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, especially against someone with equal access to knowledge. Therefore, in our natural pursuit of personal power, we desire to simultaneously increase our own privacy while gathering as much information about others as we can. This self-inflicted hypocrisy is reflected in our governments, which seek to maximize their knowledge about everyone while keeping everyone else in the dark. And now I want to cut out for a second and say, Larimer is an anarchist. He believes in an end to government. He believes in self-governance. So let's properly define what he means by government in this piece. So anyway, moving on. Ultimately, it is our desire for privacy and the right to be forgotten that turn us against one another. We are taught to distrust our neighbor, but to trust a power-hungry bureaucracy. We demand governments use their universal knowledge to track down criminals, but the power we give them is turned against us when they make everyone a criminal. Governments use their knowledge of every detail of our lives to track us, tax us, and intimidate us into complying with their arbitrary and abusive laws. It is only natural that peaceful, freedom-loving individuals would like to have complete privacy from the government. We believe this privacy would limit the government's power to tax, regulate, and otherwise oppress people whom we hope it will not, or it will know nothing about. Meanwhile, governments of the world are doing everything they can to make privacy from government illegal. Simultaneously, they are working to make privacy from each other mandatory. This is a transparent divide and conquer strategy on behalf of governments. When we know nothing about our fellow man except that which the government tells us, and the government knows everything about everyone, then we are truly enslaved. The government uses privacy and secrecy as the foundation of its misinformation and propaganda campaigns. It is only through secrecy that the government can manipulate how the masses see the truth and therefore control all of society. By the way, for those just tuning in, I'm reading a piece by Dan Larimer, creator of EOS, on transparency. Moving on. In a very real sense, privacy is the enemy of truth. Secrets and the lies we tell to keep them are the plot and root of suffering in almost every movie. It is the truth that will set us free and the secrets that enslave us. If we want to decentralize power, then we must decentralize secrets by spreading truth through radical transparency. 2 ways to fight freedom. Going forward, freedom-loving people have 2 options in the fight against this self-inflicted tyranny. 1, resist, overcome through opposition. 2, Aikido, use adversaries' momentum to achieve our objective. We resist by attempting to build stronger privacy solutions for ourselves and compel greater transparency on others. This method of fighting only works in favor of the stronger party. It is a strategy the government is using against us. Aikido empowers the weaker party by turning the attacker's energy against themselves. Rather than blocking a punch, you grab their arm and pull it towards you, throwing your opponent off balance while taking no damage yourself. Properly executed, your stronger opponent ends up on the ground, pinned using joint locks and pressure points, all without requiring any significant strength on your part. In an information war, the Aikido move is complete transparency. Demanding the government be transparent when governments already know almost everything, we are ultimately demanding everything be transparent. Asking others to voluntarily not spy on us is asking them to act against their own self-interest. If others already know everything, then our transparency will give them no additional benefit. What transparency will do is increase the knowledge of everyone else and therefore reduce the information asymmetry while enabling communities to self-police without violence. We can beg others to not collect data on us or to forget our past, but ultimately that is something that cannot be stopped without requiring policing, which requires others to collect data on us. The inefficiency of secrecy. Secrecy is so difficult that experts can't even keep a couple of bytes of information secret when hundreds of millions of dollars of cryptocurrency are on the line. You could say that secrecy is a high energy state that requires constant energy input into defense and is therefore unstable. Meanwhile, transparency is a low energy state that requires no energy input and therefore very stable. A society built on transparency will be much stronger and cheaper to sustain than one built on secrecy. And the article goes on and on and on. It would take me all day to read it. Man, he goes into Gandhi and everything. But I definitely say that people should check this article out. I'm going to put it in the chat box, and you can check that out as well. But I think there's a lot of ground for diversification. So diversify. If you want some Monero privacy coins and some EOS transparent anonymous, cryptocurrency, it's also a good idea. I think that it's important that we diversify, and then that goes outside of the cryptocurrency market as well with Bitcoin, gold, silver, etc. It's been a long day. I am sorry if I'm a little bit off. It's been very long and just annoying, dealing with so many technical problems right now and trying to fix all of it. So anyway, EOS, I got in at 50 cents, and I'm very happy I did. EOS is an incredible cryptocurrency with great fundamentals, and you can learn more about it from Dan himself. Dan Larimer is constantly upgrading and making it a better cryptocurrency for the ICO in June, which again, you must register your tokens for. Now, let me see here. What do you guys want to hear about? And Deb Holtz, he said, what was the news? I went through a whole bunch of news headlines earlier. I will continue, but I'm going to wrap it up soon because we are starting to run out of time. I have to cook a nice dinner for my lady. So there's that, and I don't get to do that very often. That's why I'm doing a live stream today instead of editing, because I've just been constantly staring at a screen. For those, again, that are just tuning in, make sure to subscribe and make sure to check out my new show every Saturday, Cryptocurrency Weekly Wrap-Up on We Are Change. That is We Are Change on YouTube. And, of course, find me at STEEMIT at Josh Sigurdson. Write your STEEMIT addresses in the chat box as well so I can add you and check out your work. I'm always happy to spread, I hate to say this word, spread the wealth voluntarily on STEEMIT and help promote such an incredible platform. And then Bloodbot, again, like I said, Acapulco has not been canceled. It's not, Anarchapulco is not canceled. Chill. And by the way, Ron Paul is speaking at Anarchapulco. If you want to get tickets, you can type in promo code WAM. That's WAM as a coupon code. You will save 10% on your tickets. It's going to be a great year. Acapulco is rather cheap, and it's a paradise. And I'm looking outside right now, and it's freezing cold, and there's snow blowing everywhere. It's horrible. I just can't wait to get out of here. Okay, so there's... I'm just looking at a few of the comments here in the chat. It's kind of all over the place, trying to tune in on one thing at a time. Anarchism Unlimited mentions a Hawaii crisis, and I think that what we saw with the recent missile, quote-unquote missile threat that was popping up on everyone's phone was basically... desensitization, fear-mongering, conditioning. It was an attempt to test people out, see how fast they react. I think there was a lot of, upping the ante on the fear-mongering to get people more in favor of bombing countries that they know nothing about because the media told them to and the government said so. And then I also think that there is a possibility that they might have made a mistake and there might have been an actual missile, but I don't know. It's hard to say, but I do believe most likely it was just desensitization and fear-mongering and conditioning. And whenever something like that happens, it doesn't just happen by mistake. It's absurd. They hit the wrong button, and people all just accept that there's just some big red button that some guy kind of leaned on, and he put his elbow on it, and boom! Or a big red button that says, do not push, and some guy's like, I really want to push that button. Don't buy that. Come on. They don't accidentally press a button to alert everyone in Hawaii at the same time that there's an incoming missile threat. It's absurd. And then everyone kind of goes at face value and blames Trump. Like, yeah, Trump pressed a button. Yeah, okay. It's a military-industrial complex conditioning people in order to accept war and also testing people's reaction to it and seeing how dependent or independent they are. Mostly dependent. It's 2018. It's what it's come down to. John Snyson says, totally, Josh, we need to remember the government has full control to put info. Sorry, there's a pop-up on my screen. Put info like this, and it happens lots in Canada with these tests. Yeah, absolutely. They are just trying to test our psychology in order to kind of screw with us and push for new agendas, and it's all a script. The whole 7-country plan is continuing to carry out, and it's exhausting to talk about, honestly, because it just never ends. No matter how much you warn about it, it just never ends. We were warning in 2013 that they were going to, these militants that they were arming and funding in Libya and Syria were going to become the new Al-Qaeda. And what happens next year? ISIS, suddenly out of nowhere, all over our television. What used to be a nice name for like a girl with like mythology behind it and everything turned into like this horrible thing where people are cutting off heads and using like high quality video cameras, and United States issued tanks and vehicles and plumbers vehicles from like Utah and stuff. Absurd. Absolutely absurd. We've seen this coming for so many years. It's problem, reaction, solution, repeat mentality, the Hegelian dialectic. We saw it through the Iranian missile coup that we are kind of seeing kind of repeat itself again to some degree in Iran specifically. Then there's the arming and funding of the Ba'athist Party in Iraq in, I believe, 1968, and I believe again in 1983 or something like that. Then 1979, the arming and funding of the Mujahideen against the Soviets, aka Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, etc. The arming and funding of the Taliban, who met in the White House with Reagan. The list goes on. I could go on and on and on. Oh, well, I can't forget Vietnam. Ho Chi Minh, armed and funded him under FDR. Go figure. Problem, reaction, solution, repeat. It always goes that way. It always has. That's why we need to break free from that paradigm, no matter what the party is in charge, and look to ourselves as individuals as the change we wish to see in the world, the peace and prosperity of the future, voluntary transactions between free individuals outside of the state complex, the banking complex, a military-industrial complex. Look to yourselves. That's how we will prevail. Stop looking for a new leader with different clothes on, different hair, different music taste. Slow jams the news with Jimmy Fallon. It's absurd. It just never ends. So, anyway. Bloodbot says Jeff Berwick just put out video again. Acapulco is not canceled. I will look on his page, but it's not canceled, guys. He basically he put out a joke video about an Acapulco travel alert with Luke Rudowski, where he was making fun. It was sarcasm. It was obvious sarcasm, making fun of all the travel alerts put out by the U.S. government about Acapulco, which is actually a very safe place. I walked around there in a suit and tie, and I feel a lot safer there than in Winnipeg, Canada, or Chicago, Illinois, or Detroit, or any of these other places. L.A. for sure, New York, even Las Vegas. Like, Acapulco is safe, and everyone's super nice, unless you're in a cartel or screw over a cartel member. Mary Jose, or I think that's your name, Mary Jose wrote, "Don't put your faith in men. Don't put your faith in anyone other than yourself, unless, you know, we're talking family, voluntary, collective. But the first person you should put faith in is definitely yourself." So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We've covered a lot of issues today. I've gone over quite a few headlines. I'm going to get more headlines ready next time, but it's kind of confusing. So what I want to do next time is find a way to get my screen recorder to also kind of clip back and forth, so I can manually clip back and forth between myself and what I'm looking at on the screen. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm using OBS to do this live streaming, and it's all very new to me. I'm used to editing and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So I'm going to wrap it up for now anyway. So thank you very much. Thank you, Zubus, XIO Bus, Shane Lackey, John Snyson, Smoke and Mirrors. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate Michael Holiday for the help with the super chat. Can't do it without you guys. Make sure to check the links or in the description, because man, we are making less than we ever have on YouTube due to demonetization. STEEMIT's helping, DTube's helping, but we need liquid fiat to be able to pay the bills and food and all that kind of stuff, and our travels and equipment. It's just craziness. We're making less right now. We're making about 5%, or no, we're making less right now than we did when we had 5% of the viewers and subscribers that we have now. Just to put it in perspective, it's gotten totally insane. It's horrible. So we are doing everything we can to try and push ourselves forward and keep the media going. And liberty and freedom will always prevail as long as we never give up. Escape the prison of your mind. Find your own consciousness. Push your own ambitions to the forefront. Don't focus on too many things at a time. Focus on one thing and achieve it. We are the change we wish to see in the world, and individual liberty and freedom comes down to personal responsibility, and it's a hallmark itself. We have to understand that. So, again, thank you, Dominic Perron. I'll get. When was the last time you purchased gold and silver? I don't really go into my holdings too much. Sorry, cool Acadian. I don't really go into that too much, but I do own some, and it's always a good time to ensure your wealth. Thank you, Zoltan, Baze. Yazine L says, put the QR code on the face of John. Haven't done that for a while. We got outros now. Had to put it somewhere while I was talking, and it wasn't going to be over me while I was in the middle of saying something. Thank you, Tugged Life, Euphoric, and everyone else tuning in. I really appreciate it. This has been the longest wrap-up ever. So anyway, and yeah, as Shane Lackey mentions, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.